Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. We've been selling auto parts for over 30 years.
What's up guys, I'm Andy from 1A Auto. Today I'm going to be showing you how to install some new e-brake cables in this 2007 Mini Cooper S. If there's any parts you need for your vehicle, click the link in the description and head over to 1aauto.com. So I'm going to shift this into reverse so that I can grab under here with my fingers, pull up a little bit, and grab my trim tool, go in here, try to pop this out. There we go. Pop this part out. Now I can pull it out of reverse. Now I'm going to use two hands and pull up. With a lot of effort, and the whole thing will come up. I'm going to take these two Torx screws out in the front. They're in the cup holder. I'm going to use a T25 driver. Now we'll take that one out. Next, in the back, there's another Torx screw. I use the same T25 driver. Remove that screw. Now we'll grab this rear cup holder, pull that straight up. Alright, I'm going to use my trim tool. Just going to go along this parking brake shifter, parking brake handle. I'm just going to push in the back, pop this out of the way. And I'm going to grab the back of this center console and just pull up, just like that. Clips in. We can maneuver this out of the way. So I'll slide this down here. Pull up on the handle. We'll disconnect this connector right here. Just take a screwdriver, push down on the lock there, and then when that's released, go to the other side, push down on this lock, and pull that connector out. And then we'll disconnect this connector right there, pull that out. Pull the center console out. We're going to take these 4 nuts out, right here, here, these back 2. I'll use a 10mm socket, an extension, and a ratchet. I'll move on to the next one. And these back 2. I can just pull up on this bracket. There is a wire connector over right here. Just gonna take a screwdriver and push this through. Just like that. And we can pull this off. and over the shifter, over the parking brake handle. There we go. It's like a puzzle. There we go. And I left the nuts right in there. I can set it aside with the nuts in there. Back here, underneath this carpet, is where the parking brake cables enter the vehicle, where they come in from outside into the body, right there. Back here, where this balance bar is, where these cables come into the vehicle, this passenger side is frozen, so that's why this side is longer. I could remove them from this balance bar right now, but I'm actually going to remove the parking brake handle first, just to make it easier. I'm going to disconnect the wire that goes to it. You just push this little lever here and then pull this wire out. Just set that aside. And then I'm going to use a 13mm socket, an extension, and a ratchet. And we'll take these 3 nuts out. This will just make it easier when doing this job. After you get that last nut off, we can lift this handle, move it back. We have plenty of slack. Makes it nice and easy to remove these. Remove that one. And we'll pull this cable through, pull that ball out. We can slide this out of the way. So how this balance bar works, the cable is in there with the ball right here with the cable coming through. You have to slide the ball up and out this hole, and you do the same for the other side. Okay, so there's these fingers that hold the cables into the body. There's 3 fingers that are spread out. So I'm going to take a 12mm 12-point socket with a swivel and an extension. Slide it over here, slide it over. Then I'm going to gently tap with a hammer. Try to get those fingers to compress. Then I should be able to grab the cable from underneath and pull it out. Then repeat this for the other side. I want to drop the exhaust down a little bit. You could put a little bit of lubricant on these little nubs to help press them out. It's not the best idea. I'm just going to use a little brake parts cleaner because it'll dry. And then I'll use this tool to push them out. You could also use a pry bar. Use a little more brake parts cleaner on this side. I'll just help lubricate it just enough to get it out. Now the exhaust is just going to hang. It's just sitting on this cross member right here. That's okay. Now I can access the fasteners that hold this heat shield up. There's 2 right here. And there's also 2 over here. I'm just going to spray a little bit of rust penetrant on these so they come off a little bit easier. These ones are bolts, so those should come out. All right, so I'm going to take these 2 10mm bolts out. I'm going to use a 10mm socket, an extension, and a ratchet. can actually shift the exhaust to one side so that I can access this bolt very easily. And I'll shift the exhaust the other way to access this bolt. Pull that bolt out. And I'm going to take these two nuts off. Use a 10mm socket and ratchet. Just take these off. Pull that one off. I'll pull this one off. Get those off. I can pry this down a little bit. Just fold this in. Loosen this up, and from back here, pull this down. Shift it back a little bit. I can slide this cover right out. It gives us easy access to the cables. So because we released the cable in the car, this is nice and loose, so we don't have to put pliers on here or anything. It's already off. Otherwise, this would be pushed in down here. So the next step, just pull that aside. We'll use a straight blade screwdriver and pull this clip out. Just like that. And this will slide right out of here. I'm gonna have to twist it a little bit, go back and forth. You can pull it out. And we'll do the same for the other side. Sure. Okay, I'm going to use some rust penetrant on these bolts because we need to take these two 10mm bolts out, one on this side, one on the other. They hold this bracket on, which holds the cable on. Now I'll take a 10mm socket, an extension, and a ratchet, and take this bolt out. Pull that out, and we'll do the same for the other one. Right, so we have this loose, we have this loose over here. We want to come over here, there's a little bracket that holds the cable in. And right here, pull that down. And we had released the cable from the hole earlier. We can pull that out. Keep in mind which way the cable actually goes. We're going to do one at a time so we can always reference the other side. The cable's going to go through the frame right there and then through the cross members. And there it is. Just to show you when we were inside the car and we were using the socket and the extension, there's these little fingers on here that push out right there. So when we put the socket on, it pushes those in and then we're able to push it through. Once you get it in a little bit, then pull the socket back and just hammer it in through there, and we're able to free up the cable. All right, we're gonna take the left side cable, we're gonna slide this through behind the level sensor, through the frame right here, and I'm gonna grab it over here between the gas tank and the frame, guide it up here. I'm just going to slide it forward right right there. Before I connect it up front, I am gonna connect the back right here. We'll go through this bracket. Line this up. This is slotted, so once that's in there properly, you can put this cable right like that. And then I'll put the clamp in there. Can install this clamp. Make sure that's in there all the way. Line this up. Take a little hammer, give it a little tap. Whoops. All right, we'll line this clamp up. This clip is just going to hold it in place, so use a hammer, just tap it in there. That's locked in place. We'll take this bracket right here. Now, if you don't know which cable is which on the bracket, sometimes it'll say L or R. So this one's the left side. Line that up. Take this 10mm bolt. Get that started. There's a little tab on the bracket that goes into the hole on the frame. Get that into position. Take our 10mm socket, extension, and ratchet, and I'll snug it down. Just snug. Next, with the cable loose right here, you can line this up with the hole in the floor. Now we're going to press it in so it locks in place. Once that's locked, we can install this into these little plastic brackets right there and right there. And we're going to do the same with the other side. Reinstall this heat shield. Just adjust the exhaust a little bit. This is gonna, towards the front of the car, it's gonna slide over the other heat shield. Like that. In the back of the car, it's gonna go like that. It's a little bit deteriorated. It's a little bit deteriorated in this area, but we'll still get it to hold up. I'm gonna reinstall these 10mm bolts in the bottom here. If this happens to yours, what you could do is get some bigger washers, and that will help secure it a little bit better. Get those. Sure. I'll take my 10mm socket, extension, and ratchet, and we'll re-secure this. Just snug. Do the same for the other side. Just snug. And we'll take these little fasteners, install those. Use a 10mm socket and ratchet. Just snug, not too tight. I'm gonna move the exhaust over a little bit. Do the same with this side. And snug it up. I'm gonna pop the exhaust back on these rubber bushings. Just use a little bit of brake parts cleaner. That way it dries. It'll slide right on. Just like that. Do the same with the other side. Lock it on. Now we're going to install this handle. Just slide this through here. Line this bracket up with the ball and the cable. A little bit difficult to show on camera, but I'm going to slide this ball in that hole and then slip it in like that, so that one's in, and I can grab the other one, slide the other one in, just like that. So now those are secure in that bracket. So now I need to get this bracket to line up with these studs. It's a little bit tight. So what we're gonna do is we can loosen up this nut. That's the adjuster nut for the e-brake, for the parking brake cables. So I'll use a 10mm socket and a ratchet. I'm just gonna loosen this up. Give it a couple turns. Let's see if it lines up. We'll give it a little more. We're loosening this up because the cables are new. They're not stretched out like the old ones. And there's too much tension on the cables right this second. Got that one. Got those on good. Now we can take these 3 nuts and put these back on all the studs. I'll take a 13mm socket, an extension, and a ratchet. I'll tighten these down. Snug those up. So we just check to see the operation of the handle, the lever, it's working. There is a lot of looseness right here, so we're just gonna tighten it up a little bit, take up some of that slack. What we can do is we could actually lift this handle up a little bit and we can access that nut. Just use an extension, my 10mm, and the ratchet. Just tighten this a couple more turns. Still a little bit loose, so tighten it a little more. That's pretty good right there. You don't want it too tight, you don't want to be dragging the rear brakes, but you do want it to be a little bit snug. So that looks good there. Now we're going to install this bracket, slide this boot. This is going to go through here, just like that. And then it's going to line up with these studs. I'll take these nuts, get these nuts started. I'll take a 10mm socket, extension, and a ratchet, and I'll snug these down. Make sure those are snug. We're going to take this wire. This goes to the parking brake lever switch. This is going to, it's a retainer. Gets pushed down right here, like that. And then to install the wire, I'm just going to take a straight blade screwdriver and push back on this clip, and then put the wire in the hole, and then let go of the clip. It's going to make that connection. And that's all set. All right, we're going to reinstall the center console. Shift the shifter back into like second, and then slide the parking brake up. This will slide over here. Get the seat belt buckle out of the way. Just slide this down like that. There's some connectors under here. All right, we're gonna connect these down here. It's a 12-volt socket. It's gonna go right there. Connect to that. And then this one is gonna connect to the other switches right there. Slide the shifter. You might have to maneuver this shifter around to get it to work. And with the parking brake up, you can slide this boot through the middle. Oops, make sure the seatbelt buckle, you get that on the outside. Slide that through like that. Same with this seatbelt buckle. That in position. And there'll be some push retainers right here. Lock them in place. Take this cup holder, reinstall that in the back. That'll line up with the hole in there, and take the Torx screw. Get that started. I'll use my T25 Torx Driver to tighten it down. Just snug it up. These two front ones, take the same Torx screws. Get that one started, and then I'll get this one started. Snug that one down, and then snug this one down. Now we're going to reposition this boot. There's this little tab right here, I'm going to slide that in forward first. And that's in there. Then I'm just going to press it down in the back, lock it in on the side, lock it in on that side. I'll take the shifter knob and the boot, slide the boot over. Make sure you have the shifter numbers in the right direction. And I will use some force and push this down. Make sure it locks in place. Then we'll lock this trim down. Just line it up. And lock it down in place. Yep, it's on there good.
Thanks for watching. Visit us at oneauto.com for quality auto parts, fast and free shipping, and the best customer service in the industry.